Hey, BillO'Reilly.com Premier members, welcome to the No Spin News for Wednesday, January 30th, 2019. Take your country back. So, a lot of politics. A lot of politics in the air. But it's not always what it appears to be or what the news media tells you. So, tonight's broadcast is going to be a lot of inside stuff. And you say, okay, how do you know O'Reilly? I've got a couple of emails like that. I know a lot of people. A lot of people inside the Trump administration, a lot of people in Washington, and they know they can trust me because I'm not going to burn them. I don't use anonymous sources in the sense that I don't report to you anything as a fact. I will say that this is what I believe. So that's how I get my information. So the State of the Union is next Tuesday, as you know. Now, this is going to be the kickoff for Donald Trump's re-election campaign. This is a campaign speech next Tuesday. So understand that. Last year, about 46 million Americans watched it on television and countless others on the internet after the fact. So it's a big crew. So I expect the Democrats to pull some stuff. Already the women's militant people in Congress are going to wear white for solidarity for something. I'm not quite sure what. Maxine Waters, a radical congresswoman from California, says she's not going to show up. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez from New York says she's not going to shake the president's hand, that kind of stuff. Nancy Pelosi has got to sit right behind President Trump in the address alongside Vice President Pence. So the Republicans are going to be jumping up and down, applauding. Democrats are not going to do any of that. They're going to sit there, maybe making faces, I don't know. But I expect stunts for the State of the Union, which will make it kind of fun. See, I don't get upset by any of this because I believe this is good for the country to see how both parties behave. I think that's a good thing for you to see it. I don't get angry about it. I think that Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is very entertaining. You know, when she says something, I pay attention. Now, there's a qualifier there. I don't take her seriously, and I'm not being sexist or supercilious. There's a good word of the day. I don't believe she understands how the government works. Surely, if she did understand that, she couldn't possibly be proposing her economic views. I mean, if Medicare for all passed in Congress and was signed by a sitting president, the country would go bankrupt and the economy would crater and there might be a depression. Certainly a recession, no doubt about that. Might be a depression. The unintended consequences of bankrupting the entire United States of America are staggering. And every economist knows you can't impose any more government spending than you have now. And taxing the rich and taking their houses and clothes and cars isn't going to come near paying for Medicare for all. Look, I have Medicare. I worked for it. I contributed to it. I paid into it. Same thing with Social Security. Paid into it. No free ride. And now the far left, everybody's got a human right to health care. I don't think you have a constitutional right to health care. I think that the system has to be set up in a fair way. There has to be government oversight. But I don't think the government should pay for everybody's health care. That's not what the founding fathers intended. If they intended that, they would have done it. Okay. So the Democrats, after the president gives his speech, will have theirs. Stacey Abrams, the woman who ran for governor of Georgia and was defeated, is going to give their address. She's 45 years old. And I don't know what she's going to say, but I'm looking forward to hearing her. I don't know much about Stacey Abrams. And I'm going to listen with an open mind, and I'll analyze her speech fairly. But I know why she's there. Because the Democratic Party is doing identity politics. So we'll have the Hispanics, and we'll have the African Americans, and we'll have the Jewish Americans, and we'll have whatever it may be. And we'll add them all up and we'll win. We don't want the white guys, unless they're in Hollywood, unless they're Steven Spielberg or somebody. All right, so I'm looking forward for one of the few times in my long career to the State of the Union address. Donald Trump's got to give a stem winder. Got to be a lot of border stuff in there. And believe me, he is going to declare a national emergency and fund that wall if there's no compromise. They're meeting today. I put the odds at 30% there'll be any movement from the Democratic Party to fund any part of the barrier. 30%. But if they don't in 3 weeks, the president will go, look, I have the authority. I believe it's a national security issue. I'm going to take money from Homeland Security and the Pentagon. I'm going to start building the wall. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion, and I could be wrong. All right, so there's your setup for the State of the Union. So a new poll comes out by Quinnipiac. Not a reliable poll outfit. Good school. Connecticut, but I don't know. So they talked to 1,004 self-identified registered voters. That means they don't know who they're talking to. Republican 26%, Democrat 30%, Independent 37%, other don't know, don't care 7%. Do you support or oppose building a wall? 41% want the wall, 55% don't want it. That's up 2 points from last month. That's a press. Wall doesn't work. That's people hear over and over, and they believe it. Would you approve or disapprove President Trump using emergency executive powers to fund the wall? 31% approve, disapprove 66%. But every one of the 31% are Trump voters. So the president cannot go into the 2020 campaign without building some part of the wall. Has to. And he will. Now, there'll be court challenges, there'll be all of that. Okay, so that's the poll. I don't really believe the poll. I put it at about, because of the media intrusion here, I say 55-45, 55% don't want the wall for reasons they don't really understand. 44% are big wall advocates. That's where I put it. If you went on a media campaign, you could get that to 50-50, the Republican Party. Now, I was going to do a big takeout on freedom of speech, but we lost our guest because of technical reasons, bane of my life. You know, we do Skype and all that, and I don't understand any of it. We had a really good guest, Kevin Chavez. He's a Democratic strategist. I'm going to try to get Kevin back, but, you know, in 5 years, all of this will be upgraded 1,000 times that you're seeing. But now, sometimes it's shaky, so we couldn't get Kevin on a Skype. But what I was going to do was say, okay, Tom Brokaw said that he believes Hispanics, foreign-born Hispanics, should be assimilating better in this country, and he got nailed, the left one, nuts. So I was going to ask Kevin, I said, now, that's his opinion. Should he be attacked for it? Yes or no? All right? So I remember when I was at Fox News Channel, I said that Congressman Maxine Waters' wig, she doesn't wear a wig, looked like James Brown's hair. Now, I thought that was cute, because it's true. But I was accused of being a racist by the Congresswoman. Now, I got to tell you, in a million years, I wasn't thinking along racial lines. I was just thinking, I like James Brown, Godfather of Soul, Living in America, one of my favorite songs. But the hair looks the same. And then some wise guy DJ did it, put them back to back. And it was, so anyway, I was a racist for saying that. And I go, no, I'm not. Look, I apologize because it was dumb. It was dumb of me to say it. I'm a commentator on national television, and why am I saying something dumb like that? Maybe you think it's funny, maybe you don't. But why am I doing it? All right, I'm not Colbert. So I did. I said, look, it was stupid. I shouldn't have said it. But was I a racist for saying that? So can you say anything negative about Native Americans or African Americans or Hispanic Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans? Can you say anything negative about them? That's what the discussion was. Now, you can say negatives all day long about white men. Go crazy. All day long. You can call Trump every name in the book. Couldn't do that, President Obama. No. Could not do it to him. But Trump, you can. They both hold the same office. So I'm really sad we don't have Kevin there. I'll ask you to send me some letters I'll read tomorrow. And I did criticize Brokaw, by the way, if you didn't hear it, because I don't think you can generalize about a group like that and say Hispanics should assimilate better. Well, some Hispanics assimilate great. Kids I taught in high school in Dade County, Florida, they assimilated real well. All of them. And they were, parents are right off the boat from Cuba. Some of them were born in Cuba and got away later. But most of them, their parents came over in 1959, 60. They were fine assimilating. So I did criticize Brokaw because whenever you say all Irish are drinkers or, that kind of thing, all Italians are mafia guy, you just can't. But can you poke fun? Can you make a joke? PC police are everywhere. I don't want what happened to Roger Stone to happen to me. I don't want the FBI breaking in here because I made a bad Maxine Waters joke. All right. Now, this is directed to Americans who voted Democrat in the midterms. And I'm just wondering whether they understood, the people who voted for the Democrats. And, there were some good Democratic candidates. I voted for one of them. I'm not going to tell you who or what or when, but I always vote for the best person. I'm not a party apparatchik. But generally speaking, do voters understand when they put the House in charge of Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, did they know what they were getting? So the House Committee on Natural Resources, I never even heard of that. They are voting on whether to take the words, "So help me God," out of the oath, "So help you God," out of the oath that witnesses who testify before the panel sometimes have to take. Why? Why? We've been doing that since 1776. So help you God. Now, if you don't believe in God, so what? Are you offended by the word God? If you are, OMG, as they say. If you are, you're a snowflake. So why do we need a formal House committee to disrespect the word God? Why do we need that? Is that a positive thing? No. Now, the chairman is Raul Manuel Grijalva, who's a Democrat from Arizona. And Raul is a very far-left guy. And he has no problem with this. So we get that oath out of there. This is the secularization of America, which the Democratic Party embraces. And the nth degree of that is the new abortion law in New York and now in Virginia, where the governor of Virginia basically said on the radio yesterday, yeah, if a woman gives birth and doesn't really like the condition of the baby, doctor can kill the baby after the birth, if the woman wants that. And the doctor says okay, and maybe the man will be consulted, maybe not. Yeah, we'll have that. That's infanticide. That's murder, by every definition. Governor of Virginia, Democrat. Oh yeah, that's all right. We want to pass a law in Virginia and allow that. Here in New York, you can do it with the new law because Andrew Cuomo signing the law, and the law says you cannot criminally prosecute anybody involved with any abortion ever in New York State. It's a civil offense if something happens. So if the abortion is botched, you could sue them in civil court. Criminal court, no. So if a doctor took the baby out and the mother looked at the baby and said, I don't like this baby, or the baby has something wrong with it, kill the baby. That's where we are in Virginia, New York, other states, and it's where we're heading under the democratic system, the progressive left system. They want that. Now, I don't know, and I don't do the religion thing. You guys, I mean, I tell you what I am, what I believe, but I don't ever impose on another person. I respect sincere beliefs. I do. And in the greatest tradition of America, we are all free to worship as we please. One of the greatest things that the Founding Fathers gave us. But if you do believe in a supreme being that created the universe, if you do, and about 75% of Americans do, and Andrew Cuomo is a Catholic, says he is, and does all this, when you die, you are judged based upon what you do on this earth. That's the essence of Christianity. You must reject evil and embrace good. It's a struggle. I can't imagine me on my deathbed signing a law that permitted infanticide and abortion on demand at any time and thinking I wasn't going to be damned for doing it. That's just me. I'd be a little worried. So that's about as stark as I can put it. Now, do I believe the politicians who are behind the infanticide, the organizations like NARAL, Planned Parenthood, ACLU, who want all of these abortions, do I believe they have any fear at all? No. They don't believe that. They believe that man is everything, secularization is the way to go, and baby, I don't have any rights. And you know where that was popular? In the Soviet Union, China, and Nazi Germany. Babies, don't want them, throw them in the river. All right, we've been telling you. I think you're probably getting bored with it, that the press is corrupt. And my new column, A Bad Moon is Rising in America, is posted. I hope you read it. Give me some feedback on it. I don't think I'm a boring writer. I mean, you can get through it, and I don't belabor stuff. I bang, 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 bang. Washington Post. So they have a guy named Dave Weigel, who is their national political correspondent. Big job, Washington Post. So in 2010, Weigel was forced to resign from the Washington Post after he said awful, horrible things about Rush Limbaugh, Glenn Beck, Newt Gingrich, and Matt Drudge. All right? So Weigel I'm not going to repeat what he said, but it was awful, personal attacks. And the outcry was so bad in 2010 that Weigel was out. And then he went into the far left websites for a few years, and the Washington Post hired him back in 2015 under the far left editor, Martin Barron. Okay, so Weigel's back there. So Weigel, he's on a podcast, a left-wing podcast, what a shock. And he says that all of President Trump's supporters are quote-unquote rubes, R-U-B-E-S, rubes, hicks, all right? Every one of you who supported President Trump is a rube and a hick. That means you're stupid, you're dumb. Okay, so this is a reporter, not a commentator. He's a correspondent. Washington Post. I'll never forget the Washington Post when they ran an op-ed by George Will that said I didn't tell the truth about Ronald Reagan in my book, Killing Reagan. Of course, I did tell the truth, and we documented it, Martin Dugard and I, and the book was very flattering toward President Reagan, but it wasn't a Valentine. It told the truth about the man. So I called up the Washington Post and said, hey, look, Will just lied about the book, and I would like an op-ed to reply. No. That's unheard of. I gave the Washington Post a story when they were attacking me that debunked some of the things that the Washington Post was printing. The reporter actually wrote the story, wrote it, because we backed it up with everything. Martin Barron would not print it. Washington Post. Baltimore, one of the highest murder rates in the world for a Western city. If you watch the program The Wire, you know that the inner city of Baltimore was and is ruined by narcotics traffic. Okay? If you live in Baltimore, anywhere around there, you can go take a ride tonight and see it. It is a disaster, the city of Baltimore. Police under siege, murders all over the place. What is their solution? So the DA, Marilyn Mosby, announces this week that Baltimore will no longer prosecute any cases related to marijuana possession, regardless of quantity or a person's criminal record. So Ms. Mosby says to all the dope dealers in Baltimore who have ruined the city and are terrorizing the poor, hey, you want to sell pot in the street? You want to get down to 7-Eleven, stay in the parking lot, sell that pot? You want to stand on somebody's apartment stoop, sell the weed? You go right ahead. Go ahead. We're not going to do anything about it. Now, if you know anything about inner city drug traffic, you know it's run by blacks, African Americans. In fact, the arrests in Baltimore are 96% African American because the African Americans control the street drug traffic in the ghettos. Not just in Baltimore, but almost every city. Now, they don't just sell weed, dope dealers. They sell everything. Cocaine and heroin and meth. Everything. But now, we can't, we're not arresting them because they're African American, most of them, we're not arresting them. And that's what this drug prosecution thing's all about. The nonviolent crimes that President Obama championed. Yeah, heroin dealer, people die from using your heroin. Nah, it's not violent. Nah. So Baltimore is a place where I feel bad for the poor people who are trapped in these neighborhoods that are run by the drug gangsters. The drug gangsters run the neighborhoods. They have guns and money, and they sell weed to 10-year-olds. That's what they do to 10-year-olds. But the Baltimore authorities can't be bothered with them. See where this country's going? You see? Tie it all in. Tie it all in. It's a big picture problem. And if the Trump administration would figure that out, they'd have a much better chance to win. George Washington University in D.C. There's a law professor, John Banzhoff. All right? So John Banzhoff is criticizing the 11 sororities on the George Washington University campus. Whoa. Hey, professor, this is not good. You can't be criticizing women. So he's basically criticizing them because the sororities are offering all students at George Washington coloring books, stress balls, and relaxation rooms to freshman students, not all students, freshmen. So if you're a freshman, you're stressed out, you go to a sorority house and you get a coloring book or a stress ball, you can squeeze it, or a relaxation room. So you can stretch out because you're stressed. So the law professor says such coddling is likely to turn out more wimpy lawyers who lack the fortitude to stand up to tough judges in defending unpopular causes, thus our most fundamental rights. So he's saying, hey, you snowflakes, this is ridiculous. It takes a lot of courage for that guy to do that. And of course, the college goes, well, it's okay with us, says Ashley Ann Rents, all right, who's the recruitment vice president, because we want to make students feel safe, comfortable, and empowered. And empowered. That's what we want. Ooh. Tomorrow, right here, my Super Bowl interview with Donald Trump. That was the first interview he did after being elected 2 years ago. We're going to have it for you. Not the whole interview, but all the relevant parts. I think you will enjoy it. I'm looking forward to seeing it again. Right here, because he's doing a Super Bowl interview with CBS. I guess it'll air Sunday. So you can watch mine and compare it to what Margaret Brennan on CBS does. So we'll have that for you tomorrow. Now we have a short announcement and then the mail. Roll the tape.
If you are over the age of 50, I have an important message for you. There's a true alternative to AARP, the liberal retirement group that lobbies in favor of progressive policies. Former Air Force veteran Dan Weber founded an organization that believes in the Constitution and stands up for the values that have made America the most prosperous nation on earth. Now, here's the offer. For less than $20 a year, an AMAC membership gives you members-only pricing on car insurance, roadside assistance, discounts on hotels and travel, cell phone plans, discount dental plans, and on and on and on and on. Your AMAC membership dollars support the ideals that you believe in, like protecting our borders with immigration reform, revising Obamacare, and fixing Social Security once and for all. AMAC gets its voice directly from you, the individual member. So please join more than 1 million fellow Americans right now at amac.us. That's amac.us. And yes, I am a member. Visit amac.us, amac.us.
And finally tonight, the mail on the message board. Bart writes in, Bill, in your email segment, you said Ocasio-Cortez was not lying when she misinformed us with false facts because she believed what she was saying. In her own words, she has said, I think there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than being morally right. So where do we draw the line between misinforming and lying? If you are attempting to deceive, that's a lie. If you are spouting nonsense and you believe the nonsense and don't have the wherewithal to back up your nonsensical beliefs, that's propaganda, not a lie. Stephen on the message board. Bill, do you have any evidence to back up what your predictions are about the Mueller report? Or is this speculation? As I said, Stephen, my prognostication about what the Mueller report will say is based on what has happened so far that we know. Of course, I could be wrong, and of course, it's speculation, but it's educated speculation. And I laid it out pretty clearly. And what really amazes me is that Kamala Harris says we need more gun control because we're killing children. Really? What does she think a radical pro-abortion leads to? See, but she doesn't consider babies or fetuses or babies just born to be human beings. So Kamala Harris knows that they're not, somehow. Renee on a message board, in my 20-year career as a neonatal ICU nurse, I saw numerous infants born at 22 weeks, and they left the ICU as healthy infants. At conception, not only is it already determined what you will look like at age 90, 70% of your personality already is determined. That's from human DNA that we know is present on conception, and that's why more than 90% of American doctors will not perform abortions. Thank you, Renee, for writing in an eyewitness report. Ken? Bill, one slight correction in your presentation. You said America used to be against partial birth abortion. Every poll says that about 60% of Americans remain against partial birth abortion, and those numbers represent a sharp increase within the last 7 years. It's easy for people to say to a pollster, I oppose partial birth abortion. But did we hear any outcry about the New York State law, the Virginia situation? Any outcry by the folks? Demonstrations in Albany or Richmond? I haven't seen them. I think people just looking the other way, just like they did in Germany and killing the SS. Looking the other. They don't like it. They don't approve of it. They're looking the other way. Candace Birchfield, Dadeville, Alabama. God bless you for your brave, eye-opening analysis of the new abortion law in New York and for shining a light on Pope Francis' silence. As a Catholic, I'm devastated over his seeming lack of interest in the law. I fear the Pope identifies more with progressive politics than Catholicism. I don't know if that's fair. I am waiting for Pope Francis, who's a deliberate man, to say something. I mean, surely the Catholic bishops could do more than they're doing. But as I said, the Catholic Church has lost all authority here in America. Kelly Collins, Madison, Mississippi. But why don't states propose more adoption for unborn children? I have two friends who have gone through that process. Give the child a chance for a good life. Listen, Kelly, adoption is, a very viable option. I support a group called the Sisters of Life. They're nuns. And that's what they do. They support pregnant women, and when they give birth, they help find good families for the babies if the women don't want to raise them by themselves. Sisters of Life. And that could be done everywhere. But it's an inconvenience to carry to term, and women don't want it. Some women. John Blank in Henderson, Nevada. For any person who thinks Medicare for All will provide all Americans access to health care, I suggest they take a look at the Veterans Administration. Look, if the government runs health care, it's going to be a mess. Everybody knows it. Any sane person knows. And Medicare for All would bankrupt this country and lead to a depression. Jim Farron, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Very impressed with your program. The Democrat especially was impressive last night. So refreshing and rare to hear a rational Democrat. I want to hear dissent. But most liberal commentators just spout the company line. It's true. And we will use the guest we used last night, Roger Fisk, all throughout the campaign. We will have the best campaign coverage right here on BillO'Reilly.com. All right. You buy Killing the SS, you get Killing Patton for $2. If you read both books, you'll know everything about World War II in Europe, Killing the Rising Sun, of course, World War II in Japan. It's a great deal, those books. You can give them as gifts. You can read them yourself, do whatever you want. In our stores, we have all kinds of discounts for you premium and concierge members. And I got a letter yesterday. If you do have personal questions, I will try to answer them as concierge members. A woman today, her best friend got laid off and asked me for advice on how the woman could get another job. And I gave her, I think, some sound advice. I get a lot of students on concierge membership. I guess their parents and grandparents are members, asking me about school. Happy to do that. Happy to do it. So that's an advantage of concierge membership. Word of the day, do not be a nebbish. So we have a few very interesting things going on here. I can't tell you about them today, but in the next few days I will, and you're going to be surprised. We have surprising announcements to make. Thanks for being premium and concierge members. We'll see you tomorrow.